Welcome to this video where I show you how you can search the log entries within the Payara Cloud product. The environment collects all the logging information from the runtime and your application and puts that in a data warehouse, and you can search that to see if there is any error or if you expect any message in that log file. So let's have a look at the actual demo itself. So now that we have our application deployed, we would like to see if there is anything in the log or that our application has written anything in the log file. And you can see here on the log entries graphic that there are indeed some log entries. The details of these log entries you can look up in the View Logs menu item here, which brings you to a screen where you can search for all the log entries. You have the standard information there, like the timestamp when the log entry is generated, the severity, the logger, which application, and of course the message. So let's try to find out all the warnings, so if there are any warnings. So we can put here in the search field warning, and clicking on the warning field we see that there are some warnings, in this case some expired certificates, because here in the demo environment we are still using an older version of Payara Micro. Be aware that we only search for full words, not partially text. So you see load does not give any values, does not give any return values, although the word loading is there, because as you can see there is the loading application and the loading policy provider entry that shows up. So always put full words if you want to search for a certain word in the log entries. You can also search on multiple words, so loading and network. That means that either loading or network should be found in the log message. And that here you see that there are now here those two additional entries. If you want to have them both in the same entry, then you need to add the plus sign, but there are none of them, so that again will result in no results. The same with the requirement of a certain word. You can also remove an entry if a certain word is there. So with the minus policy, for instance, here. And then we see that we have still this loading and those two network entries, but not the fourth one here with the policy word in it. Besides the search on the words, you can also do a search based on dates. Remember that also the log entries are only kept for 7 days within the system. But for instance, if I'm looking for entries from yesterday, then of course I will not find any entry because the instance was started today. Besides the date, you can also specify some time limits, the hours and dates, and you also can specify some partial values. So for instance, find me all the entries between 10 o'clock and 31 minutes and 10 o'clock 32 minutes. Then you get those entries here on the screen, so you can search very narrow for a certain message. If you want to research this more externally, you can always export this result as a JSON file, and then you get a JSON with all the log entries that are visible here in this search.